everybody. Welcome back to the Danger Knock podcast. I'm your host, AcroNM, and today we got a sad episode. For those of you who may know me, probably everyone who's watching this, they know that I've been a huge Chicago Bulls fan my whole life, and someone who I would consider to be the quintessential voice of the Chicago Bulls, Stacey King, who was the commentator for the Chicago Bulls, has passed away on June 7th. So it's about a week later I'm recording this. Originally I wanted to make an episode about the Bulls when I went to Derrick Rose's jersey retirement earlier this year, which is where I got like a lot of this memorabilia stuff, and I just didn't get to it, and I was like, oh, okay, I don't know. Maybe I will get to it eventually, but with the passing of Stacey King, I kind of went down like the memory lane of all like the Bulls memories I've had growing up and how integral and how important his voice was to those memories. And almost every major Chicago Bulls moment that has happened over the past 20 years in some way has his voice attached to it. And even when times weren't great as Bulls fans, as the Bulls organization was and is now, watching a Bulls game, no matter how bad the Bulls were, was always fun as long as Stacey King was commentating. So, and I didn't prepare anything about this like situation, so I'm just kind of like speaking from the heart right now. But this one like messed me up. Like having Stacey pass away, it's like I don't even know what to think of like watching. Like every time I watch a Bulls game moving forward, I'm gonna be like thinking about, oh man, I wish Stacey was here. I wish Stacey was commentating on this game. Like, what would Stacey say in this moment? What kind of nickname would Stacey give this new player? So, and before I even get into all that, like I feel really bad for Adam Amin, who was his co-commentator right now, who took over from Neil Funk a few years back, and they've had like a great relationship with each other, and they had so much chemistry. It was such a perfect duo, and to see him kind of give his stories and memories of Stacey King and see the emotions on his face was heartbreaking. But yeah, I love Adam Amin, and I know he'll like continue on and carry on like a great kind of career commentating for the Bulls. And I don't even want to think about really like who is going to replace Stacey, but I kind of wanted to just go down the memory lane a little bit, or at least just honor Stacey as I talk about kind of like how like my memories growing up with the Bulls were. Yeah, it's just like hard to like. This was originally going to be like a happy episode when I was going to talk about Derrick Rose and all of his highlights and what that meant, especially like going to his jersey retirement, taking my dad and my brother to go see that like kind of legendary moment and something that will go down in history. Something that when I grow up and I have kids, inshallah, I'll tell them like when you look up in the rafters and you see the number one, like I was there when they unveiled it. But all of those Derrick Rose moments that kind of live in our hearts are like coincided with like Stacey King's legendary kind of calls and commentating moments, like Derrick Rose dunking on Dragic.
Lead pass.
Stop it! Stop it! Do not do him like that! What are you doing, Dragic? Did you not get the memo? Derrick Rose can go upstairs.
He double clutches this. Watch this.
Oh my goodness!
I mean, he actually
Watch
pumps this ball. Watch.
I want to go higher. my goodness. Dragic. Somebody grab Dragic and say, do you know who this kid is? He's from Chicago. He has a 40-inch vertical. And you are, where's my poster machine? This is what I need, my poster machine. Where's it at?
It's like, get up or get out the way, or I want to go higher, or too big, too strong, too fast, too good. Like, Stacey was just so good at creating iconic lines that even transcended the Bulls fandom. Like, everyone knew about Stacey King and how iconic his skills were on the microphone and how his personality like shined through unapologetically in his art form. And to not have that moving forward is going to be like so crazy. Like watching the Bulls when they sucked was fun with Stacey, because Stacey was hilarious. Like with his nicknames, like calling Modest, Buzelis, like Little Boozivert. Like who else is gonna do that? Like, I don't know, man. And even if we do get someone who's like funny like that or kind of has that charisma and charm, I hope we do get that. And they will, in a way, be compared to Stacey, but I hope they find their own voice. But I'm gonna miss that specifically of like those nicknames and those kind of putting his own personal stamp on things, and that will like permeate the city. And for example, like these like bobbleheads that we have right here, these four with Pau Gasol, D Rose, Joakim Noah, and Jimmy Butler. Like we got these on the, if you could probably see here, there's like a 50. I don't know if you probably can't see, but we got these in 2016 when my dad had got season tickets for us. And it was funny because my dad was on the wait list for season tickets for a while, like a long time, like years. And eventually it came around to like, we got the call back from them that, oh, we can purchase season tickets now. But at the time, my dad kind of was on his like personal journey of leaving corporate America. And he left without having like necessarily something in hand. So suffice to say, it's not like we had like we weren't like impoverished, because he did a good job of saving and making sure that like our lives were always comfortable no matter what kind of financial situation was like above us. Like our livelihood, I felt like, didn't change so much, but the luxuries of like stuff like that kind of were taking a backseat. But then this came along in that moment, and he came up to me and he was like, hey, listen, so they got back to us on the season tickets. It's a lot of money, but would you want us to kind of like pull the trigger on that? And I was surprised he was even asking me. I'm like, it's something you shouldn't even told me. And I told him, I'm like, listen, like I know like stuff's kind of crazy right now, and I feel like you shouldn't do it because it's like it probably wouldn't be the best spending of our money when we're trying to figure out on saving and making sure like stuff is being paid and things like that. And he's like, yeah, that makes sense. And then he just bought them. He just bought the season tickets. And I was like, you know what? Hell yeah, let's go. Sorry, excuse me. Hiccuping now. But yeah, he ended up just getting them. And honestly, I'm like so glad that he did, because that season in particular was just like, it was phenomenal. Honestly, like I got to see Kobe's last game against the Bulls, and I got to see us beat LeBron in the home opener. I got to see, I think this, I remember, if I remember correctly, D Rose's last season with the Bulls, which is nuts. They gave us like a care package with a bunch of gear, which these bobbleheads came in with, and like a bunch of other stuff. And I already have so much Chicago Bulls gear as it is, and I still wear that 50-year anniversary gear, which is crazy that we had season tickets on the 50th year anniversary. Like that made it even more special. Um, but yeah, sorry, I'm like lost in thought. But it was like such a big part of not only like my childhood, even before D Rose, with as Stacey called it, like the baby Bulls, with like the Kirk Heinrichs, Chris Duhans, Andres Nocioni, like that squad. It just meant so much, especially as a kid. Um, to like follow them, and their culture was always just like tough. And watching players like Kirk Heinrich made me want to be like a tough basketball player. Like he was obviously just like a guard, white guy, so he's not playing above the rim, but he was a great leader. And I believe even it was Stacey giving him the nickname Captain Kirk. And he was just tough. And when I played, I would try to like have that same like hustle mindset. I'm saying as if I was like a player, but like whenever like street ball situation came up or whatever, and as a not tall player, a lot of it came from like handles and like passing and the fundamentals and stuff like that and shooting. So getting that down and practicing my handles with putting like a shopping bag over the basketball so that I have less of a grip on it, and then dribbling it around like that so that when I do take the shopping bag off, it's like I'm playing with like a extra grippy basketball. So stuff like that. Uh yeah, and then that was like me like in high school. And a big part of kind of my like even identity and kind of like a lot of how I kind of personally feel about life is like standing on business about things. And I think part of that comes from in that moment of my dad before he officially left corporate America. He was like taking different jobs in different states. And so our first big move was moving to New York and Long Island specifically. And when we moved there, it was in the middle of a school year. And I could tell New York stories all day long. But to keep it on topic for this episode, why did I say episode like I'm a Minnesotan? God. For this episode, was my first kind of interaction with Knicks fans, which we'll get into that later, but of like what the Knicks just did. But that was like, oh, I had to really stand on business for the Chicago Bulls, like with a bunch of middle school boys, and I'm coming in from Chicago in the middle of the school year, and it was like a big like rivalry between like the Bulls and the Knicks in that moment. And first of all, there shouldn't have been. I'm getting heated again having the same arguments, but we were number one seed in the league at the time, and the Knicks I think were barely like number 7, and they had like Melo I think at that time. But all the like lunch table arguments, sometimes even got physical, of the Bulls versus the Knicks and things like that. I just stood on business. And I have like a picture. I'll put it up here somewhere of like, I think this is when we just moved from New York to California. So it was around the same time, but this is like the gear I was like rocking up to school in. So I was standing 10 toes down looking like a baby blood. But yeah, like the Chicago Bulls were like a huge part of my adolescence, even like growing up too. Kind of tapered off a little bit, especially when like I graduated college and the Bulls started sucking. But there was always those moments where I'd come back to it and like be re-engaged. And luckily, like my brother is like very involved, especially now in like the Bulls, and he keeps me kind of ingrained with what's going on. And that's always like has me like at least one foot in with the Bulls, no matter how many times the Reinsdorfs piss me off. I know. Oh, we're gonna keep this positive this episode, but I feel like the Bulls will never be good as long as the Reinsdorfs are owning that team. But that's a whole another conversation. Um, but yeah, in all of those moments, whether it's Kirk Heinrich, whether it's Derrick Rose's, whether it's Jimmy Butler's, whether it's DeMar DeRozan, whether it's now Modest Buzelis, like Stacey King was that kind of thread that went through all of that and giving us those iconic kind of moments and phrases that we still use today. Like even my mom remembers this, and I'm so happy I was able to get this pin at one of the games. Give me the hot sauce.
DNP time.
Well, we fully got the ball in the right guy's hands.
There he goes again, and then gun back Korver for three.
Give me the hot sauce. Give me the hot sauce, Bob. Woo!
And the Bulls have the lead by 3.
Big time play. Woo! That's why he's MVP.
Which was Stacey King's iconic line. I think he started that with Kyle Korver, who was our kind of like 3-point specialist. And he'd be like, give me the hot sauce every time like he hit like a big three. And honestly, now this like having this means so much more. Like this collectible pin. Like I'm never gonna even take this out of this box. But God, it's so sad now looking at this. I miss Stacey, man, already. And this, well, I'm gonna really feel it when the season starts. Let me not cover up D Rose too much. But when the season starts and it's just Adam Amin and I guess whoever else, I think that's gonna really hit, like not having Stacey there. Like it was so random too. Like I mean, obviously, I respect the King family, like privacy and stuff. It was like so random. It like came out of nowhere. Like I'm just on my phone one day and I just see like, oh, Stacey King has passed away, and I was just like, it didn't even like process. And later on, when it like kind of became more apparent, and I've been watching like kind of highlights of Stacey's calls throughout the years, that's like when it became like the emotions like hit me at that point. But and if you're not familiar and you're watching this and you're not familiar, I implore you, go look up Stacey King kind of highlights or compilation, like call compilation. And if you're in any way associated or have engaged any Bulls media within the last 20 years, I'm sure you'll recognize some of those calls or phrases that he's kind of stamped, which kind of cemented his legacy with the Chicago Bulls. And they have to make some kind of, I believe, like statue or kind of section of United Center, just something to honor Stacey King, which I'm 100% sure that they will do. But man, it's a big loss. And I think that's the one thing about like that kind of life though. He died young, man. He was like 59. Like that's so young. But had a lifetime of like moments that will be cemented in NBA history. That's what we do this for, right? It kind of like gives me like one of those like existential crises, which is kind of why I like even picked up the microphone right now. Cause like that makes you realize like how much like your voice matters. And like one day I'll be gone and this podcast or the other stuff that I make will be my like representation. And so it's important to keep doing it, keep doing your art, keep putting it out there. Yeah. Getting emotional now, just thinking about that. Yeah, I'm gonna miss Stacey, man. Like so random, man. Like what are the Bulls gonna do moving forward? I feel so bad for Adam Amin and Neil Funk, who kind of shared like hours and hours and hours of time with Stacey, and it's gonna be like I feel like a big void now. Like he was so like essential to the Bulls organization as a commentator that people forget that he was part of like that first three-peat with the Bulls. I think he was coming off the bench for them, but like served as a integral player, and yeah, that's sad, man. But that's why we do these things, is to cement our legacies in one way or another. And I mean, I'm obviously have a podcast of like on a good day 20 people watching, uh, and if I try hard, who knows, maybe it'll go somewhere. But if anything, this I'm happy with this of like documenting myself and my thoughts. And a person like Stacey would agree in doing so. But yeah, sports is like a fickle thing. Like, I feel like a lot of it is obviously about winning, and it's like that's the ultimate goal. But I have not, I obviously, like as I said earlier in the podcast, like I've sat down for these games as a baby, but obviously I don't recollect any of like those Bulls championships. So as far as I'm concerned, I've never like actually witnessed a Bulls championship in my lifetime in a way that I could like cognitively remember. But the Bulls have had so many great memories over the last like 20 years, 20 plus years that I can remember. And I find like a lot of value in that too, which is why like some people were saying like, oh, should like Derrick Rose's number even be retired? Like maybe he didn't accomplish as much as he could have due to injuries and kind of cut his accolades short. But he meant so much to the city. Like viscerally, the city of Chicago supports him like through and through. And he brought us out of like a cultural like darkness as a team and gave us so much hope. Like that's like the biggest thing when I think of Derrick Rose is like hope. Like he came from like Chicago itself. He came from the hood. He came from like a gritty upbringing and made it to the top. Became the youngest MVP of all time. Took the Bulls to number 1 seed. Had it not been for LeBron James, like we would have went even farther, but made it to the Eastern Conference Finals. And always did it with like humility and humbleness and quietness, like quiet aggression. Like that's like the one thing I think of like when I think of D Rose. And that means so much, especially to the city. And listen, I have a Jordan Funko Pop right here. But a lot of people would argue, especially in Chicago, that Derrick Rose means more to the city than Michael Jordan as an individual. Like, obviously, Michael Jordan brought us 6 championships in the 90s, which is unheard of and is renowned and lauded as the best player of all time by most. But Derrick Rose, like, uplifted the city, like, on a cellular level, like, for being from Chicago and putting the city on his back. And, like, it meant something more. And that's what that, at his jersey retirement, that's what that felt like. The city was now raising him up. And it was like emotional on that night, like seeing like D Rose cry and having his kids there. And one may think like it was an unsuccessful career by not having a championship. But I'd argue that people win championships all the time, like literally every year. But how many times does a player have an impact like Derrick Rose had on the city of Chicago? I'd say that's a lot more rare. It's hard to even kind of think of. Like I just think of like LeBron with like Akron or like Cleveland, I should say. Like Kobe with the Lakers, but something about like Derrick Rose's kind of legacy, in my opinion, is worth more than even a championship. Like he played with heart, he played with humility, and in a way, he played with like honor in the sense that like he never. There was times where like they were like begging him to like recruit players to come play for the Bulls, and he's like, if they play for the Bulls, then they'll play for the Bulls, but I'm gonna do my thing, and they'll come if they come. He had so much faith in himself and his squad that he never kind of wanted to parade the team or like not or kind of market the team to get other pieces. And maybe it could have helped, but he had that in him that like he'll do what he can with what he has. And that was also like I always thought that was like pretty dope. But yeah, and then like in the prime years, the like 2010, 2011, and especially that was like in 2011, that was when I moved, when we as a family moved to New York. And so that was like prime D Rose too. And man, that was such a fun time. Like watching him day in and day out be the bane of other point guards. Not a single other point guard wanted to go up against D Rose. They couldn't handle him. He was, as Stacey King said, too big, too strong, too fast, too good, and just literally a menace on the court. Jeff Teague even said that. I think multiple other players have said Derrick Rose was their hardest defensive assignment. And having those moments be accompanied with Stacey King's calls made it all the like more worth it. And so that was such a fun era, and we'll see what happens moving forward. But I feel like maybe I'll have another episode with somebody else, like my cousins or my friends, talking about specific memories of the Bulls. Like a big one of like the Bulls Celtics playoffs. I think when Derrick Rose was a rookie, and we went to Game 7 against the Celtics, which was a top like contender team. What a legendary series that was. Yeah, that'd be fun. I'll maybe I won't talk about every single minute memory I've had of the Bulls, but I just wanted to give like a basic kind of shout out and tribute to Stacey King and how much the city of Chicago is going to miss him, and how what he and the Bulls have done for like my childhood and like even adulthood, and gave the city something to rally behind and gave the city culture. I'm grateful for it. Not a lot of teams can have something like that, I think. So that's fun. I guess in segueing news, talking about the New York Knicks again. Listen, it's hard. I can't bring myself to root for the Knicks based off of like my experience growing up, and especially going to Long Island and having beef with every single Knicks fan there, and it was like a big thing. But I don't. I treat them like a rival. Like the Knicks are the rivals. I don't necessarily hate them. The Green Bay Packers, I hate them. I explicitly hate the Green Bay Packers. I hate everything about the organization. I will never root for them in any capacity whatsoever. The Knicks, I don't like them in that sense. You know what? I like them sometimes. It's like a funny team. It's like a fun rival to have. Like a fun rivalry. Like I'm never going to wear a Knicks hat. No way in hell. Or a Knicks jersey. Never, ever, ever, forever, never. I'm never going to do that. Even when D Rose got traded to the Knicks, I was like, bro, what the hell is going on? I even knew, like, even my cousin had a D Rose Knicks jersey. I'm like, listen, I love D Rose. I cannot wear a Knicks jersey in any capacity. But seeing them win the championship, and I was rooting for the Spurs because I liked Wemby, and I thought it would be funny if the Knicks got that close and lost again. Um, but I am happy that they won because it was a great moment for them, and they hadn't won in like 50 years, 50 plus, I think. And the way the city rallied behind that team, and the way that like Knicks have a good basketball culture, and even the fact that they didn't win, the fans were always like die hard, which is what you want from a team. I'd rather have that than like the wishy-washy, like, oh, I'm a fan of a player. Like, I'm a LeBron fan, so that means I'm rooting for the Miami Heat when he's there, or the Cavaliers when he's there, or the Lakers when he's there. So my cousin does. And I'm like, bro, you can't have an enjoyment of a championship if you follow the best player around and then they win a championship. You don't have that like visceral like joy that comes with that. You have that from being a Knicks fan for that many years, seeing generations of your family root and watch them lose, and then to finally see them win. Like, the ecstasy that probably comes with that is unreal. And that's something I'm chasing that high for not only the Bulls, but also the Bears. Like, if they do that, if like they win a championship, I'm gonna cry. But that's what you get when you're rooting for a team like that. And usually it's your hometown team, unless you pick. I mean, it's hard for me to understand like not rooting for your hometown team. Like, there's people like growing up, like, oh, I'm a Milwaukee Bucks fan. I'm like, why? You were born here, you were raised here. Like, how did that happen? Or a Packers fan, God forbid. From Chicago is nuts city. But even then, as long as you follow that team since like a young age, and that's like the team that you've had kind of been rooting for it, that's where you find the joy in when they win a championship. Not just following, KD won a champ. Like, bro, man, KD going to the Warriors was nuts. Anyway, that's going to turn into a whole basketball podcast and not just a Bulls Stacey King podcast. But yeah, but I'm not happy for the Knicks, man. But I had some notes, man. Actually, I need to start reading some of this stuff because there was stuff about that Knicks championship that just were so insane. First of all, I have never seen a team as dumb or melt down as astronomically as the San Antonio Spurs. Literally, they were the first half of the games, they were acting like they were a dynasty, and the second half they were acting like an AAU team. They could not make a single pass to each other. De'Aaron Fox, first of all, I liked him going into the series. I was like, oh, I love De'Aaron Fox. This guy, I'm like, we need to report him to the FBI. The mistakes he was making were unreal, and he's supposed to be like the veteran of this team to keep them together, keep them calm. And just mistake after mistake and missing open shots. And he wasn't even following through on some of those shots. So I'm like, is this guy purposely missing? That one, I forgot what game it was. Game 3. Or was it not? Well, it was game 4, I think. Taking the layup instead of dribbling out the clock and then getting blocked by Anunoby. Yeah, it was game 4. Then getting blocked by Anunoby, and then Anunoby having a legendary moment as they top off a 29-point comeback, the largest comeback in finals history, with essentially a game-winning tip, which that whole Spurs team was like, had their fingers up their ass that whole play, not boxing out nobody, not looking to kind of even touch any player, leaving Anunoby a wide open sea to the rim to get a tip in. They could have won on multiple occasions. So, I mean, the team is young, Wemby's young, the coach is young, but man, they were like looking at their coach like, what do we do? What do we do? As the ball is getting ready to be inbounded. Like, that's nutso behavior. Greg Popovich, man, God bless. You're probably sitting up there in the VIP suite, just like, I don't know, losing it. Oh man. And then after they won, like, it was like it was fun to like watch like how the Knicks fans reacted. I'm just envisioning how Chicago would be if when the Bulls win, inshallah, hopefully soon at some point. Which also, man, that makes me sad that even if the Bulls do win eventually, like, it would be sad that like Stacey is not there to see it. Making me sad all over again. But there was like, what's it called? Like, the aura of it all was like pretty sick, not gonna lie. And listen, man, shout out Mamdani, man. That's the reason why the Knicks won a championship. Like, this guy's having a generational run as mayor there right now. So that's dope. And then it was so weird. Like, Jalen Brunson, who had a phenomenal series and is probably going to be lauded as in the city is being lauded as the best New York Knick ever. But in his own post game kind of interview with the inside the NBA team, with like Shaq, Chuck, Kenny, and Ernie, for no reason, Jalen Brunson's dad, right, is like, yeah, that was great, but Patrick Ewing is like the greatest Knick I've ever seen. And for context, Jalen Brunson's dad played for the Knicks in the 90s. And actually, it was funny, was in the finals against the Spurs in 99 and lost 4-1. And now the Knicks won against the Spurs 4-1. So that was like pretty crazy. But has the like, I don't know what's in him to say that like his little son's right there who won finals MVP, who broke a generational curse for the Knicks and got them their first championship in 50 years, right? And then unprovoked is like, Patrick Ewing is the best Knick I've ever seen in my life, or whatever. That unreal behavior, that was so weird. And like, you could even tell that Jalen Brunson has like a weird kind of like relationship with his dad, and like was maybe not ecstatic of him even being there in the first place. And then was like, oh, all of Jalen Brunson's trophies, his dad takes. So first of all, you're like shitting on your kid and then taking his trophies and keeping them for yourself. Like, what's wrong with you, man? LeVar Ball would have been like, if that was his son, he would have been like, that's the greatest player of all time. Better than Jordan. Better than everybody. Which I would respect more. Like, hype up your kids, man. And then I've seen like clips of Jalen training with his dad and his dad being tough on him, which, listen, as an undersized guard, which is funny that like being 6'2" means you're short in the NBA. Like, you need that toughness and you need like to build that skill set and that grind to like rise above all that. But like, come on, once you get to the mountaintop, at least that's when you're like, okay, all of that toughness I put on you was worth it. And don't continue that for no reason. Like, this is the one moment to give your kid his flowers. You're talking about Patrick Ewing is the greatest Knick I've ever seen. Bro, shut up. My jaw dropped when he said that in the post-game interview. That was absolutely nuts, man. Let me see what else I have. Oh, also, apparently his dad, Jalen Brunson's dad, like, allegedly had some kind of weird, like, sexual assault situation with a massage person. I don't know all the details on that, but like, how are you? I just shut your fucking mouth and be happy your son is having people forget about what the hell it is you did in the past. But yeah. Oh, what else we got? Oh yeah. Also, it's fun like seeing like Timothy Chalamet on the sidelines, and he's a diehard. Like, people are like, oh, so why are celebrities acting like they're Knicks fans now? This kid, he's been at it since day one. Like, there's a picture of him winning like a scavenger hunt of finding like Landry Fields in the middle of a freaking Union Station. They win like tickets to a game, and he's like 14 years old in like middle school. Like he's a real one. He's a real ball knower, and he was able to name off like all these like random like role player Knicks from the past. Like no one should question his New York City kid Knicks card. Let's see what else I got here. Also Karl Anthony Towns. I'm happy he got a championship. He's a good guy, man, and he's went through a lot in his personal life, like losing like his mother and his just generally like having like a lot of struggles to go through, but always kind of maintaining like a good demeanor about life and treating people well. And there's multiple instances of people saying that Cat has like been a good like model in the locker room, and even for with interactions with fans, he's always been a great guy. So I'm happy he got that, man. Let's see what else. Oh yeah, the Nike commercial that they made for that they had ready for when the Knicks won. I don't know if I'd be able to play that here, but you should look that up and watch that. Like it captured what that feeling is like, which I don't even know because I've never experienced a championship like that. For a team that I cared about. But that was a good commercial. There was a lot of good advertisements like that. There was one where it was like I think in Times Square between two digital billboards. I don't know who the older player was, but like from the old Knicks kind of squad, passing the ball across to another digital screen across the street. So I think Brunson catching the ball where it's like passing on the legacy or something like that. I forgot what it was exactly, but it was like legacy passed. I don't know, but it was good. Like as a person in marketing myself, I appreciate actual like art and thought and creativity put into stuff like this, instead of like AI slop or something like that. But yeah, I mean, there's probably more I could talk about between all of that stuff. I guess since we're talking sports related, I'm just gonna do a quick hitter of like the UFC 250 Freedom 250 or whatever that was called. Listen, I would be lying to you if I said that the whole theatrics of that UFC event was not cool. There was a lot of cool stuff out of like coming from that, like the fighters walking out of the Oval Office and stuff like that, and having like the jets fly above and having that like weird like half dome thing. But I just find it so funny that like all these people who are like keep politics out of sports or who lost their mind because Kaepernick took a knee and didn't even like disrupt anything. He just like on his own time and not on his own time, but like at the game made a political statement and everybody lost their mind. And now Josh Hokett or whatever his name is, who's a heavyweight for the UFC, can like win a fight and then be like, hey everybody, Michelle Obama's a man, am I right? And you know he's even doing it just to pander to the fucking dumbass like UFC crowd. And they're like just eating it up. And there's like people are just like, oh, that's fine. So is it a shut up and dribble situation or not? Like when do you choose that to be the case? It's only if it's something that doesn't fall in your wheelhouse of politics. Like Jackson Dart can bring politics into sports. I'm just kind of pointing out the hypocrisy of it all and how much kind of shit they gave Kaepernick at that time. But like, I'm not forgetting that. So, and like, and all these players, or not players, these fighters, like still like going up to Trump and like, yo, like on Trump's dick for some reason. Like about half of the MAGA people don't even like Trump anymore. Like it's out of style for them. So the fact that they're like still doing that, I'm like, it's one thing if you're like scheduled to fight, so you're gonna fight, but then to go out of your way, like, yo, shout out Trump, I love Trump. Like, what are you doing, man? Like, it's so random. Like, and I love Justin Gaethje, so that was just weird. I think he's just like kind of just I'm American and that's it. Which, listen, man, at this point, I want to give like the player or the fighters that I like benefits of the doubt, but like, That's why, like, it's so funny. The Dana White is like, "Oh, I'm for free speech. I'm for free speech." But the moment that Sean Strickland starts criticizing Israel, all of a sudden you're one of the few American champions that you have currently on the roster that's an active champion. You're like banning from the premises of UFC 250 or Freedom 250 or whatever. Doesn't sound very freedom to me if you're going to be under that kind of guise of free speech in that sense until it comes like to Israel or whatever. And then Sean Strickland and Justin Gaethje having their back and forth. But I don't even like Sean Strickland. Like, part of me feels like he's probably like even grifting on this situation because he's been a weird like right winger for the other parts of his life, and bringing in Kyle Rittenhouse to like an MMA gym for no reason. Like, what the fuck do you care about Kyle Rittenhouse for? So, but I'm just like trying to like point out the hypocrisy of it all. But in terms of the actual fights, and also it's so weird that like MMA has went so right wing, and I don't know what the deal with that is though. It's like MMA should be about like integrity and honor and respect and stuff like that. But it just turned into like gladiatorship and just like I want to see blood instead of the actual art of the mixed martial art. But yeah, that's a whole nother conversation. The actual fights, I was rooting for Sean O'Malley because he came out to Lupe, so I'm like, bro, gotta go with Sean, and he did a great job. I think it was Faraz Zahabi's brother, which was his opponent. I don't know what the hell he was doing. He acted like some dude that they just plucked off the street and threw in the ring and started running and kicking like he was like a silver tooth bad kid. I was like, I don't know what the heck he was doing. But GSP and Faraz, kind of check in with that guy. He's 38. He should not be fighting like that, I feel like. But the Alex Pereira trying to get triple belt, I don't think he moved very well at heavyweight. And he's a very rigid fighter as it is and how he moves. And Cyril Gahn felt more fluid in there and more comfortable, obviously, at that weight since he's a natural heavyweight. But I don't know if Pereira should continue pursuing kind of heavyweight, not even titles or even regular fights at that point. But Pereira did have the dumpy on him. That's probably half of his weight went into his fucking ass. But he did not seem, he seemed kind of slow and didn't really know what to do with Gahn. But Gahn did, like, man, something about him, a lot of shots to the back of the head. Like, you need to like check in on like his weird antics. First with the eye pokes with Aspinall, and then now these back of the head hits. So I feel like he doesn't even have to do that. He's like good. He doesn't have to do that. It's weird that he keeps putting himself into those situations. And then the fight of the night, obviously, Justin Gaethje versus Topuria. A lot of people are writing Gaethje off so like handedly, and I didn't realize that was so much the case, because Gaethje's like obviously the same weight class, but a bigger guy, and a guy who's used to throwing flurries and like banging. So I'm surprised that he was considered that much of an underdog, but I was happy that he got that win, and he like went out on top and finally got his own undisputed gold instead of having like an interim belt. But interesting to see if he retires on this note, because I don't know if there's any going up from here except making more money. But yeah, all in all, I thought it was kind of cool, like that UFC 2, like that White House environment, but just with everything that's going on, it's just weird. Like, I'm not trying to like support whatever the hell we're doing militarily, what we're doing like governmentally. So I don't know. They try to make it like, oh, it's not political. I'm like, that's a stretch. But yeah, all in all, shout out Stacey King, man. I'm gonna miss him. Shout out the Bulls. I hope the Reinsdorfs sell that company or sell the team to someone that actually cares about the team. Reinsdorf has been on record of saying that he'd trade, since he also owns the Chicago White Sox, that he would trade the 6 Chicago Bulls championships to get one more World Series championship for the White Sox. I'm like, why does this guy own the Bulls then? It's just fucking greedy bastard. He's lucky that the Bulls consistently sell out the stadium, and it's one of the biggest stadiums in the NBA, and they consistently sell it out, so there's no reason for them to make any real changes. I mean, we just signed Tiago Splitter as a head coach, but it's hard to be excited about anything with everything that's going on with like losing Stacey and this team kind of just sucking. But we'll see. Hopefully one day we'll get that magic back and have a nice squad and build that culture up again. But looking forward to see what Buzelis does with this team. I like when our players are not scared, and he's not scared, so I like that. But yeah, maybe I'll do some more sports content moving forward. It was fun doing the Bears podcast, and now this one, not so much fun talking about the sad subjects, but nice to go down memory lane a little bit, and maybe I'll bring on some guests to talk about our memories with specific Bulls moments or Bears moments that have happened in our lifetimes. So yeah, I'm gonna have a moment of silence for Stacey, and then we'll see you guys next time.